Good evening. It's Monday, July 20th, 2020, and we're bringing you the Monday market update report for the Chicagoland market. So as of this morning, we saw 1,908 new listings on the market. 1,506 listings went under contract, and we saw 734 listings close. Really what today's market report is going to focus on is the trend, which is the urban to suburban transition, which we're seeing across the Chicago area. So what we're seeing, interestingly enough, is they've been doing some studies with Zillow, and they were noticing that average tenure in home is going up since the Great Recession. So that's going back to 2008. And as people stay in their homes longer, the equity that they have in their home continues to grow. So what we're seeing is that in 2019, the numbers were about 10 years. People are starting to realize that if they're purchasing, they're going to need to stay in that purchase a little bit longer maybe than they anticipated. Gone are the days are buying something and flipping it and thinking you might make a lot of money in 3 to 5 years. Also, we are still experiencing a housing inventory shortage. Last weekend, we had that with our clients, and we were experiencing that in real time. The houses that are on the market, if they are turnkey to go, they are flying off the shelves. We had several properties that we're looking at, single family homes in the Hyde Park, Bronzeville area, and we were literally at one house and we saw another property get reactivated, got our clients there, and we were lucky for our clients that we were able to help them secure that property, which is really their dream home. But action and knowing that you have to move swiftly is something that's key in this market. What we're seeing is that the Wall Street Journal has just talked about economic recovery is completely bound with regards to how we control the pandemic moving forward. It really has to be under control, because how this all started, we have to remember, was that this was an economic crisis that was caused by a health crisis. Also, what we're seeing in Chicago specifically to us today is that the mayor had released that phase 3, we're going to have some rollbacks. So those of us who were going and getting spa services done, you can't do those spa services without wearing a mask now. We're also seeing that the insides of bars are going to be closed, and they're only going to see the outdoor cafes. They're making sure that at tables, no more than 6 people. And we're also seeing that because the numbers were increasing, especially in zip codes like 60614, that these precautions now have been put back into place to hopefully, flatten the curve and move us in the direction of getting the numbers more in a controlled area. Also, this whole idea about urban to suburban migration, people are kind of curious about that. They're like, what exactly is that? And what they were doing is that they were doing tons of surveys of people in April, like, what are the things that you want? Everyone was talking about the updated kitchen and outdoor space. What we're seeing in July, the same people that surveyed are actually in the market. They're not just talking about what they're interested in, but they're actually talking about what they're ready to purchase and move in on. People are saying that they want more space and they're wanting to be in the suburbs. And we're seeing that just with even some of our clients. We've had clients that have purchased in the city, they had condos, they're ready to move into a larger place for their families that are growing. And we had a client that sold something in the city, and now we help them look at properties in Glenview, and we've helped them find a property in Glenview. So we are experiencing that in real time, and that's just something to be cognizant of. Par none, the people that we're working with typically that are coming to us are still purchasing the city, but it's an interesting trend, and it goes back to what we talked about at the top of this. People are staying in properties longer to really truly see the gain of equity over time. People are wanting more space, interior and outdoor space. Like, people are cognizant of the fact that we might be back into more of a restricted environment, and they want that home to have that for them. Mark Fleming was noted recently talking about homeownership remains one of the tenets of what Americans want. If you're stuck indoors, if the government is regulating whether or not you can go in and go outside, people want to at least have their space that is theirs. It's the one place that, you can't be told what to do when it is yours. Also, Zillow was talking about something specifically, was that we see a surge in Chicago. You'll see on this slide that we put up is at the top of the list. We have tons of high-end listings in Chicago. So that means that we have a lot of inventory at that high level market, but you know, it'll be interesting to see what happens over the next 2 months with regards to that inventory. And Chicago's leading, you know, compared to any markets across the country. So that means that, you know, people still might be likely leaving the city. We're really going to have to look at those numbers as they come through. So John Burns Consulting was talking about, you know, everyone is transitioned for this whole working at home, and people are saying like, well, if I'm working at home, I want to have more space and I don't want to be in a congested, dense, city populated area. And you know what, I'm going to move to a more rural area, or I'm going to move to a suburban area. And people are, you know, we're going to see something interesting. It won't be written in the history books yet, but we're going to see something with regards to the Great American Move is what he's projecting. So the need for more space is really driving a lot of suburban, you know, transitions from people, but also like we have had so many clients, like specifically we've had a client we've been working with. We met with them at the beginning of COVID, and they were talking about the fact that they didn't think that they could get a single family home in their price range in this city. They thought that they were going to have to go to the suburbs of that. So Ed and I were working diligently at really studying the market, seeing what was off market. And just last week, we came across a property in the city. It was a gut rehab. It's, you know, about like 60% of the way finished. We reached out, we got them into the unit. They were just in love with it. They just didn't realize that this property existed in the city. And really what it is about leveraging time is of the essence. You know, if you are working with someone and you're trying to help them navigate this, you really have to make sure that you're acting without hesitation. And they went under contract, and now they kind of get to pick out the last final touches and really put their personalized touch on the property that they didn't think was attainable in the city. So really there's just a lot of interesting stuff happening in the market. Today we're seeing that buyers want more large homes, but it'll be interesting to see what comes of this in the next coming months with the urban to suburban migration that we're seeing.